Good afternoon. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations. I'm Sam Harvey from the Center for Career and Professional Development. And today we're going to talk about offers and negotiations, and with a pretty strong emphasis on the negotiation aspect of things. So, an offer is what's going to happen after you've gone through the interview process. The company's decided they like you. They will usually give you an offer for the position that you're applying to. In some cases, they may offer you a different position. In this case, I've seen this happen sometimes with people applying to a job that maybe was a little bit above their current skill level, but the company really liked them, so they might offer them a job in a different aspect of the company and at a different level than what they necessarily applied to. But generally, it's the offer for the position that you were applying to. These can be done in a couple of different ways. You might, if things go really well, get an in-person offer, which would happen basically on the spot. I've seen this happen most often with internships. They'll be like, cool, great, we like this, let's go ahead and get started. You might also get a phone call, and that would be sort of the second most likely option that you would get. There's a chance you'll get an email, but I would always assume that they're going to call you first and then maybe send an email to follow up. An offer will usually include the start date that they're looking for, the salary or whatever the payment is going to be for the position, but you might need to ask for more information, such as things like vacation days, what benefits are fully included within there, what the specifics of those benefits might mean. Some places might send that as part of their initial package. Some might just send the offer and go from there. So once you've gotten the offer, that's kind of when you move into negotiation mode right away. So we're really going to focus today on what a negotiation is and how you can go about doing it in an effective manner. So to start off with, I just like to define really what a negotiation actually is. So a conversation around whether or not you will accept the job offered to you. That is ultimately what that is. And I really want to emphasize the conversation part of that. It's not about you just making demands and getting what you want. It's about talking to this person who is representing a company in some ways to kind of establish what you're going to need in order to work here. When you're going through the negotiation process, it's not always going to focus around the salary aspect of things. Some other things you might consider as part of that package are the benefits that are being offered, if they can cover moving expenses, what the title of the job actually is, start date, how much time off you get, if they offer travel for professional travel, professional development, if there's educational opportunities. It's, once more, not about just the salary, but rather this position as a whole and what's going to make it worthwhile for you to take this position, especially if you're leaving another position to potentially do that. While a potential employer might be a little surprised by you kind of counter-offering them or negotiating, they're probably not going to be offended. And if they are, it's probably a sign that it's not the right job for you anyway. Some people are just not used to having people negotiate with them. Some people really expect it. It will depend probably on the background of the person that you're speaking to, and probably a little bit within the industry itself. But just know that it is a really normal part of the job search process and is something that once more people shouldn't be offended by, and it shouldn't be something that people are looking down at you with. It's similar to getting a garment altered to fit you better. It's about trying to create the right changes to make this the right job for you and the right position for you and what that's going to look like. So why is it important to negotiate? You've been offered the job, so at the beginning that means that they thought you were the best one for the position. They are telling you that they want you. So it's important to remember that in this environment, you have needs as well. One of which probably is getting a job to be able to pay your rent in some way. But you want to think beyond your needs right in this moment. It could be your needs within the next 6 months of, oh yeah, well, if I take this job, I'm going to move to another city, and what that's going to end up meaning. Even if it's something like, can you provide housing for a month for me while I look for a place to actually live? That would be contingent on me being able to accept this position. But you also want to think, what sorts of opportunities do you want to be able to do? Do you want to be able to go to conferences or to take classes to continue your education? This is the time to think about that and to start to let the company know. They might not be able to give you everything you want, but it's always worth at least discovering if it's not included in your initial package, if that's something that they do offer, or if it is kind of set up pretty straightly about what they have for that, seeing if you can work to get more or to tailor things to fit a little bit better. And definitely something to even consider in there is the title important? Are you making what is initially a lateral move, meaning you're not really taking on any new position responsibilities, but is there a way to change the title so that when you're looking for a job again, it's more reflective of the type of work you're doing or would like to be doing? The earlier you start negotiating throughout your career, the better you're going to get at it. So for your first job, you might not have a lot of ideas or needs. It really might just be, no, I just need a job right now. I need to pay for my apartment next month. But it's always worth asking for something so that when you're going on to your higher level positions, you start to gain more confidence in how it's going to feel to negotiate. And especially if you get something new out of it, that's going to really put you in a great sense to understand that this is a normal thing to do and it's perfectly natural. And you'll be more natural at it the more you do. And as you get to those higher positions where little things like titles or getting that little bit of, or you're really in a place where getting a higher salary might be more likely to happen, then you'll be better at it because you've done the negotiation thing before. Throughout it, really, you'll either get what you've already been offered at the end of it, or you'll get offered more. You're not going to lose a job offer because you asked for something. It's about you kind of going, hey, this is what you offered me. Can we do this instead? And that's why you don't want to necessarily be demanding about it, but no one's going to rescind a job offer because you asked for something more. In the 1 in a million chance that they do, once more, probably not a place that you want to be working for. In the end, even if you don't get anything new, you've shown that you have confidence and belief in your abilities to your employer, and that's going to really be favorable on you throughout the time you're at this place, assuming you accept it without these additions within it. It's also going to set them up for the potential growth needs you'll be looking for during those end-of-year performance reviews. So if you ask for a higher salary when you're in the initial negotiation, but it's not something they can do right now, either usually because of fiscal constraints or because of something set up within the office. For example, at schools, there's often sort of paid levels that, depending on the duties of your job, you can't make more than a certain amount of money just because it's set up to make sure across a school people are being paid similar amounts for similar jobs. So in that case, at your reviews, that will be a chance to discuss with your employer what can be done to potentially increase your salary. Either that's them budgeting for it for the next fiscal year, or it could be them having to adjust some of the job duties and responsibilities. And as you've been working there for a couple of months, you'll have that leverage of being able to show, well, here's everything I've done, and here are the new duties that I have taken on that mean that I do need to be making more money because it's a newer job, it's a higher level job than maybe you originally went into accepting. So in general, it's always just really good to start doing it for all those reasons. Practicing, getting yourself set up for what your future might hold. That's really, I would always think of that is, what do you need to learn to get to the next level and see how this job is going to get you there. Even if it's just small things like, yeah, I want to learn how to use the 3D software. I want to be able to collaborate with that team. it's worth talking to them about, to let them know. That might be partly more of your conversations with your direct supervisor, which is probably the person offering you the position, but it's always good for them to know what you're going to need. And it also lets them understand you a little bit more. So how do you prepare to negotiate? One, think about what you need before you go into it or before you get an offer. Along with that, consider what you're willing to walk away for. So what salary do you need to get? What salary would you like to get? What benefits do you need? What would you like? What technology do you need access to? What would you like to have access to? You want to figure out what's your baseline needs for that, because if you need to be making $50,000 a year once you graduate and they only offer you 40 and you counteroffer with 50, you're probably not going to make that 50. You have to decide if that's worth not taking the job over and to continue going through. That's going to differ a lot based off the position. If it's something you're really excited about, you might be able to take less money than you were really expecting to or anticipating to. But also, last Coffee and Conversations, I talked a little bit about salary. So always go back to that number. What is your base level of living going to require that you get? And then if you go beyond that, what does it mean to take a pay cut? If you're already in a position, what does it mean to not get the pay jump you were looking for? And figure out what are your deal breakers on this offer. And think about that while you're going through the application process, because that will really set you up to have that conversation. Research as much as you can. Research the company, different titles, different salaries, so that you can understand what's sort of the norm around the industry in general, but also so you can understand a little bit of the norm of this company as well. I'm actually going to pull back up something that we looked at for a little bit last week. So I'm just going to do a quick pop into Glassdoor.com. I am probably still a little blocked out on this and not currently logged into my account. Let's see if I can log into my account. But websites like this can be really great for I don't remember my account login. Can be really great for starting to figure things out like this. So I use Gensler fairly regularly for a company that we look for. But if you have a company that you're interviewing with or a place that you have in mind, you can usually take a look at their site here. And this is self-reported data, so people have to report here, so you might not get tons and tons of stuff. Gensler's a very big company, so they have a pretty good amount of info on here. But you can look at things such as salary on here. And see, this is where it wants me to sign up, where I can only get a thing. But this can give you also an idea of some of the health insurance, what the paid time off, what the 401k, what different aspects of the benefits that you might be offered would look like, so that you can get an idea of like, okay, they're already starting off with a pretty high 18 days per year plus 14. That's a pretty high amount of paid time off. So you might know that that might not be something worth negotiating on because it's already really high. So you're already going to be benefiting from the company just giving that to you anyway. So you would kind of want to look and see, just because you don't want to arbitrarily negotiate for something anyway, just because you think that you should negotiate. So you can't be like, yeah, give me 2 more days paid time off. That's not something you just want to come out of nowhere. You might look and go, okay, so this is and you need to have sort of a backup within that. So even with that, like, what does it mean to ask for more paid time off? Why are you asking for that? So do your research on the company so you understand what some of the baselines are, but also research the industry as a whole. If you're finding that most companies have like a matching 401k and this place has no plan for any of that, is there something you can do to at least bring up, well, most places do a matching 401k. Can we do a 25% match, even if they can't do the full total match or a 50% match or something like that. And you want to prepare your points ahead of time. An important part of negotiation isn't just you going, okay, yeah, I'm going to need this as well. It's about you explaining why you're worth this negotiation aspect. Why are you worth a higher salary? Why are you worth investing educational opportunities in? So you want to have these points about what you bring to the table that makes things better for the company ready to go. Tell them that to show that you're worth more than they might be offering that. And that can be things like previous training, specialized knowledge you have, just kind of anything you can do to, one, show that you're confident in your abilities to do it and make them also feel confident in your abilities to do this job, and that they're not going to find somebody else that's better and that you're worth that little bit of extra that it's going to cost the company. It's more depending on companies, how much they can offer will vary, but you still want to go in with that confidence and know that your points are there and it's a negotiation, so you might end up somewhere in between. So how do you actually enter that negotiation? So the first and most important point is that it's best to negotiate before you accept the offer. Once you accept an offer, you lose a little bit of that influence because you've already accepted the job. There was obviously nothing that was a deal breaker included in their original offer. So you want to do it beforehand. When you get an offer in person, on the phone, whatever, express gratitude for being offered the position and ask for time to think it over. Even if you're sitting there and you're like, this is my dream position, it's always good to ask for the time to think it over, because that allows you to put your notes together to really look at what they're offering you, and to then counter offer back to them. So you can go the next day, I have looked everything over. It's like really excited about this position, but can we talk about the salary a little bit? Is there any wiggle room there? You want to go in with confidence when you're going to do the negotiation, whether you're talking over the phone. So you might email them and be like, I've been thinking about the job position. I have a couple of questions and some things I wanted to discuss. Can we talk over the phone later today? You want to make sure that you're going in with that confidence, that you're not apologizing for the fact that you're asking for more. You're worth it. Ask for more. Don't apologize to anybody. This is part of the process of what you're going through. If you're someone who is a natural apologizer to begin with, try and just keep that in mind as you're going in to catch yourself before you're doing it. They'll be less likely to make adjustments if they don't perceive you as being confident in your abilities to do this. And it's hard definitely with your first time doing this and probably even beyond that. And if you're someone that struggles with anxiety, it can be hard to exude all that confidence, but go in knowing you've got this, you're worth it. And that's really why it's important to have those talking points ready beforehand so that you have it. If you're on the phone, have them listed there in front of you so that you have it there as a visual representation to pull yourself back. Have those things that help you bring you confidence around you when you're having this conversation. Let them break the silence after you ask. So once you finish your ask, cool, like, hey Jerry, like looking over the offer, really excited about the position and the company, wanted to see if we had any wiggle room for salary. You offered me 30K. I'm thinking I really need to be making around 35K to be able to 35K. Cool, and let it sit there. You want to let them break the silence after you ask. You breaking the silence kind of shows once more that lack of confidence within there. Let me go back to my initial thing of, I think I need to be making 35. I would like to be making 35K. I'm worth this 35K because I'm coming in with previous experiences at similar firms, so I don't necessarily need training on some of the specifics of what you're doing here. I have a really great track record of working with my clients. I'm willing to provide clients as references. Can we do 35? Let them break it, because that's going to sort of give you that little bit of power. They could come back and just go, we can't do that. They might just go, we really can't. All we have in the budget is for 30. They might go, let me see, and then they might have to talk around, figure out what their budgets are, and they might counter offer you something like 33. This is why in salary I really emphasize the need to have sort of a range of what you're looking to go to and to lean towards that higher end of the range, because during that negotiation process, you might get your 35. They might go, yeah, we can do that. Great, cool. You get your 35. They might go, oh, we can't, but if you only really needed 33 or 32, then that's going to be a little bit more likely where they'll go. If they can't do the 30, don't ever give them an offer at the beginning or accept a position that's way lower than your base needs for cost of living. Remember that this is a conversation and a collaboration to reach an agreement. Once more, they've already chosen you for the position. They already like you. They want you to work there. They want to see what they can do to work there. It is still a business. They can't bend over backwards to make this the perfect fit for you, but they want to see what it's going to take to get you to agree to this offer as well. So it's about both of that. And you should be understanding as well about what the business itself is able to offer you, but ask for it. So it never hurts to at least ask if something can be done, especially in terms of even small technology things that you need that you're used to working with. The worst thing they'll say is no, in which case you're just back to the original offer. Get everything that's said in, I missed this. So state your case, back up your claim. So as I already said, you really need to be this, I need this. You can give them a why, you can not give them a why, but you need to state why you're worth them giving you that more. What is it you're bringing to the table that makes you not just able to do this job, but to excel at this job, to make their lives easier? How are you going to go in here and rock everything? Get everything that they do in writing. So if it's from a conversation that you've had with the place, if they don't send you an email, send a follow-up email detailing the agreement that you came to. So if over that phone you went, can we do 35? And Jerry went, yep, we can do 35. Email back kind of going like, really great talking to you today. If at that point you're happy to accept the offer, you can let them know you're accepting. You can accept over that phone call. Really excited to accept the offer with the adjustment of the salary going to this, so that you're saying this is what I have agreed to, this is what I am stating that I agreed to, and then they can come back and say that. I'd say anything you sign, always look through everything, because you want to make sure that something doesn't slip by with the wrong writing. It might just be a clerical error, but who also ever knows? Sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. So just to make sure things don't get lost and that you're covering yourself, get it in writing. And especially something could happen and Jerry could agree to that, sign the things, and then when you go to fill out your paperwork with HR, Jerry's quit and never put through that finalization. So once you get that thing in writing, even with him agreeing to it, it shows, cool, this is what we have agreed to already when you're going into the company. So having that paper trail just helps to protect you. Remember, again, the worst thing that they'll say is no, and then that's the time for you to evaluate if it's worth walking away from the offer on. It's always a little scary to walk away from an offer. Either they can't give you the extended time you need to decide, but they can't push your start date and you are not planning to move yet, or you were kind of hoping to hear from another place first. You have to decide what you're willing to give up. If you're willing to give up this offer, you can tell them, thank you for the offer, but I'm not going to accept at this time. And then you move on from there. As long as you do it within a timely manner, don't accept and then 2 days later say, actually, can't do it. Always really think about it before you say no or before you say yes. Is this what you want? Is this definitely not what you want as you're going into it? And then what's going to be the reasons that you would walk away from this offer? What are the breaking points for it? What are the good things for it? That's why you also want to take the time before you accept an offer, because something could sound amazing right up front, but if you also just had another interview a couple days before or after this other place, you might want to give that place a chance to offer you as well. Depending, you may also be able to use the fact that you got an offer at one place as leverage in another place to be able to say, hey, like, I'm still really interested in the position, but I did get another offer the other day, today, and I need to let them know, do you know what's happening within what your timeline is looking like within this organizational structure. I know someone who turned down a place because she'd just gotten an interview at a place that she was much more excited to work for. And that's completely going to be your call to make. Once you accept, though, you are more or less telling this place you're going to work from them. They will drop all their other applicants, either hopefully let most of them know, the ones that came to interviews, that they've decided to go with another candidate. So you don't want to turn around and be like, hey, actually, no. You also are not really able to say no and then turn around and say yes, because if you said no, then they've immediately turned around to their next person on their list to offer them the position because they want to get someone in as soon as possible. So once you say no, it's gone. Once you say yes, saying no can really hurt your reputation in industries that are often very small. So know your things going into it. Just to go back and reiterate, prepare as much as you can beforehand to start to get to know that. So negotiations can be anxiety producing conversation to have, but keep that in mind. It's a conversation. It's about letting the company know that you're confident in your ability and to get yourself to a baseline of what you're going to need to really succeed in this position and to feel comfortable in the sort of space and what they're offering you. So thanks for joining me today. I'm going to hang around for questions for a little bit, but I'm going to stop the recording. Have a great day, everybody.